Hello everyone, and welcome to another devlog for Bottled Sky, a top-down action exploration game. During November and December last year, the team and I slowed development down a bit so we could enjoy the holidays and come back with fresh eyes. There's been some delays, and I'm still getting used to managing a team that is now more international than ever. Despite that, we've been hard at work putting together some new content and designing new systems to support existing gameplay. This month, we've largely been focusing on a part of the game that has been sorely lacking our attention for some time. In previous videos, I have discussed the gameplay loop of Bottled Sky and how the player will be repeatedly traveling out into space and then returning to a central hub. The hub itself has gone untouched for well over a year, so it's about time that we address that. But first, we need to consider the hub's actual purpose by asking a couple of questions. Firstly, why does the player need to return to the hub after exploring? I don't intend on adding a mechanic that forces the player to return to the hub, so they don't really need to. Instead, I'm designing the space gameplay such that the player will eventually want to do it when they're ready, by building up incentives the more they explore. For example, by giving the player items every time they complete a rewarded activity such as breaking an asteroid, and then limiting the amount of items they can hold, the shuttle's inventory will inevitably fill up. The player does have the option to drop some items to make room for more to continue exploring and finding more enticing items. The problem still remains though that the shuttle's inventory will continue to fill up, and presumably, the player will eventually not want to discard the items they've collected. On top of inventory limits, there will be other factors designed just like this that gradually encourage the player to return to the hub. That brings me to the second question, which is, how does the hub solve these problems? It provides a way to store an unlimited amount of items collected from space. Of course, items in a vacuum are uninteresting. Their value comes from what use they can be to the player. Some items have an immediate use, like the repair kit, which recovers damage to the shuttle in a pinch. Some items serve as requisite component materials to make more powerful items or upgrades to the shuttle. The hub will house various features aimed at giving value to the items you collect out in space. I'll talk about those features in more detail when I'm ready, but items aren't the only thing that drives the hub's design. The hub is going to be a very multi-purpose feature designed to support and enhance all of the standard spacefaring activities. It acts as a safe haven from the dangers of exploring space, giving the player some needed downtime before going out to explore again. It's also an exit point for players. Entering the hub will trigger the game to save all of your data so that you can safely close the game and resume from the same point later. Regular exit points are an important feature for any game. An exit point is a time in your game where the player is encouraged to close it and leave. This can be obvious, like showing a message that the player has been playing for a while and it might be time for a break. Or it can be more subtle, like just saving the game. If the player is aware of the fact that they can safely close the game without losing progress, that is also an exit point. You might think it would be better to encourage your players to stick with your game for longer sessions, but doing so also has a higher chance of causing burnout. Another design goal for the hub is to provide some direction for players before they head out into space again. In some large-scale games I've played that try to give players a lot of choices in the activities they can take part in, I've seen players become overwhelmed because they're not sure what to do. Not everyone finds the same satisfaction in getting lost in an exciting world, and not everyone wants to look up a guide just to know what to do. There are many ways to tackle this problem though. My favorite solution to this is when world design subtly suggests a direction for the player to go. It could be anything from a path on the ground to a looming tower in the distance. Things like that give the player both short and long-term objectives in a much more immersive way than giving the player a glowing line that tells them exactly where to go. Unfortunately, I don't quite have that luxury of design space, given that Bottled Sky is set in open and randomly generated space. The good news is that navigating the world will be very simple, as there are really only two important directions: towards the hub for safety, or directly away from the hub to explore and be rewarded. I've talked about this in more detail in earlier videos, but in short, the difficulty and rewards of content such as enemies and hazards are directly tied to how far away it is from the hub. Because of this, I don't need to tell players where to explore, I just need to tell them where the hub is, and they can decide when they want to explore deeper into space or return to safety. If the player still feels a little overwhelmed with what to do exactly, then I will have a couple of hub features that give the player more specific opt-in tasks and challenges that they can complete while in space. These will come with their own rewards based on the difficulty of the chosen task or challenge. As of right now, most of these might be simple objectives that I can randomly generate, so I will keep them optional. But if time and creativity permits, I'd like to include some handmade optional story content, kind of like side quests. I think I'll leave this video here. A lot of the new UI I'm showing here isn't functional yet, and we won't be building all of it right away, only what we consider to be the most crucial at the moment. When those things are ready, I'd love to talk about them in the future. But for now, consider subscribing and clicking the bell to be notified about new videos. Leave a comment or join the Discord server linked in the description if you've got questions or feedback. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, that's all for now, and I'll see you later.